and it's good to be here again with you. First, let me apologize for the late start. You know, these things happen from time to time. We have no control over the power system, GT&T, and everything, but we're here with you. We had a break for about 2 weeks, I think it was, during Parliament when we had budget debates. But I'm happy to be here with you, and I'm hoping that you're happy to be to being tuned in here with me tonight. You know, on this program, Advancing the Cause, we tell you everything straight. But let me start by saying good night to all of our friends who are watching us from way out there. We're happy to have you again joining with us. And to our friends right here in Georgetown, in Berbice, in Essequibo, and all around, good night to you, and thanks for being here with us on Advancing the Cause. You know, since we're running a little behind the time, I want to get straight into the program. So those of us who have celebrated, those of you who have celebrated birthdays during this week, we want to say happy birthday to you, and may God continue to bless you. I know just Sunday last of this week, Sunday last, yes, of the starting of this week, we had our brother there from Perth, Mike Coney, celebrating 104 years. Oh, Brother Williams, happy birthday to you. God has really been good to you, and you've got to tell us some of the secrets that would have led you to living this long. And you know, when we have persons making those kinds of milestones, we have to celebrate them. And I know that the leader of the opposition was there, and some other members of parliament were there. We had some other members from the PNCR who were there to celebrate with that young man. And of course, I have to go there and pay my dues. But it's a good thing to still have some of these folks around. You know what is happening tonight on our highlights? We saw young Scott from Limner Village on the quarantine losing his life senselessly. Come on, folks, look. Speeding is going to get you there dead. Let's stop this speeding. Let's be cautious. Let's be careful. Let's use common sense while we're on the road. So a family is now in deep mourning. An entire village is in deep mourning. He crashed into a parked lorry on the road there at Auckline, and he was pronounced dead when he got to the hospital. And then we saw another car crashing somewhere, running off the road into the trench with 8 school children inside, and that was somewhere at 10 on the quarantine. Folks, we've got to use this road with much more care. Let's be careful how we're using the roads. Lives are important. We cannot afford to continue to be losing our young ones, and as a matter of fact, we cannot continue to lose lives here. So let's be careful as we traverse the road. Those of us who are using our vehicles, those of us who are pedestrians, let's be careful how we use the road. And then we saw just recently, we saw Guyana scoring 40 points. Ranking 85 out of 180 countries when we looked at the Transparency International Corruption Perceptions Index report. And that there is, according to the president of the Transparency Institute, Guyana, he is saying that this shows poor governance by the Ali-led administration, poor governance. And so, when they talk about transparency and accountability, and here we are ranking 85 and scoring just about 40 points. And then we have again another workplace incident, this time where a construction worker suffered severe burns, electrical burns, because he got into contact with an electrical wire while he was conducting his duties. And I'm hoping that the Minister of Labor and his staff, they're on the ball on this one, and they are going to be checking there to ensure that all the safety measures were in place. You know, it's disgusting sometimes when we have these big big construction work happening, and we have workers there without safety helmets, they don't have on safety belts, they don't have on safety vests, and all kinds of craziness happening. Minister of Labor, this is your turn to count, to check to see what's happening there, and to ensure that on every work site you have persons from the Ministry of Labor running the wards and making sure that all the systems are in place in terms of safety. And then we saw today a medical doctor, a single parent mother of a 3-year-old, protesting in front of the residence of the president. And her cry there was she was dismissed when the PPPC government got into office in 2020. This is a qualified young lady. And she's been writing to the president, the installed president. Yes, she's been writing to him, trying to have an audience with him. And it reached a stage today where she couldn't take it any longer. And she decided that she was going to go in front there to get the kind of attention. And then later on, we saw she was being arrested. And this is the one, Guyana, we talk about, this is the caring government that we talk about. And we have a young professional out of a job, trying to get reconnected, trying to be re-employed, and to no avail. I'm hoping that the likes of Priya Manik Chand and what's her name? The Minister of Social Protection, I'm hoping that they are going to offer some kind of assistance there, because they like to talk about they care. Vindi Prasad, I'm hoping that you have watched what has happened today and that you're going to offer the kind of assistance to this young lady, what's her name, Sonia Parag, Minister of Public Service. I'm hoping that you too paid some attention to what has happened today, and you're going to be reaching out to that young lady. This is a young mother crying out, and I'm hoping that you people are ready to offer the kind of assistance to this young lady. But tonight we wanted to talk about what is happening in the with some things that has been happening with IDB and us borrowing monies and IDB funding projects for us. Our guest is supposed to be here sometime soon, but I'm not seeing him here as yet. But we're going to talk a little about this, where we saw IDB blacklisting some contractors, but yet we have seen some of these very contractors being given awarded contracts to do jobs, and you're trying to find out what is happening. Is it the same thing we're reading? Is it the same Guyana the IDB is talking about? Is it the same persons they're talking about with regards to these contracts, all of these contractors who have been blacklisted, but yet you're seeing these contractors having jobs, they're being awarded jobs? But we're going to get into that a little later. But I want to show you what's happening. I want to show you what's happening here very quickly. I want to run this clip with you. Our theme for tonight, our topic for tonight is saying you have to be connected by way of the 3 F's. If you want to get by, you have to be connected by those 3 F's. We have a clip there that I would want to show us just for a couple of minutes. Not that one. I think it's the second one where we have the young lady. Now, if you go up a little more, we're going to find that one with the young lady who has been protesting there. I think it's that second one there. Yeah, it might be that one. If we could check that one to see that young doctor there that I was talking about. I mean, no, that's not the one. Oh, well, while we run this, let's say congratulations to young Chandra Paul, who made us proud and made even himself proud and his father proud by scoring over 200 runs. And, when our people do stuff, we ought to commend them, and we ought to be happy about it, because here it is, a Guyanese on the map there. And, sometimes our Guyanese sportsmen and sportswomen, they struggle. And when they make it to the top, we have to commend them. So congratulations to you, young Chandra Paul. and we trust that you're going to make even more strides, and you're going to get to triple figures and make us even more proud. So congratulations to you once again. I'm not sure what's happening with our clip with the doctor, but we're going to move to the other clip there, and to just show you, while we're waiting for our guests, what is happening in this country. Things tight, people getting frustrated, people don't want to listen to people talk. If you belong to a certain grouping, you don't want to hear anybody say anything negative about your grouping. Operator, could you show us that one there we had with the critic, and just if we can get that one. I mean, if we're going to talk about what is happening, if things are happening and they're not happening the right way, then we have to talk about it. Just take a view of what has happened here. This is the democracy we talk about, you know.
Hello, good night.
Good night. How are you?
Hi, how can I be of help to you, ma'am?
Well, I'm hoping I could be of help to you. There's a concern I have, and I'm not sure if it's something that you might be interested in.
You got to tell me quickly, because I lose interest fast.
I live in Canada. Okay, so here's the thing. I befriended a man. He says that he is cybersecurity, head of cybersecurity for the current government, PPP.
Mm-hmm.
This man.
You have what? You and the man in a relationship?
No, we did not have a sexual relationship. He was trying, but I was too smart for his ass.
Well, you got thing. Unless it's me, you okay? Now you keep the story to yourself. Being interested.
But just a minute. Could you let me speak to the callers too?
Don't want to call it? No, but what you want? You want massage them?
I want to speak to the
Tell lady what call and say she can know somebody doing cybercrime for the baby.
Excuse me.
Man, Freddie, you come for waste time for this program.
Excuse me. When the people call, just let me talk.
No, but what you could tell she? You tell me what you could tell she.
I wasn't talking about her. Just.
Oh, right. Well, then when it makes sense, I can let you speak.
No. I'm gonna speak.
No, but what you could have tell she? You tell me really. You want?
No, I'm not talking about.
You want your number?
No, I'm not talking about her.
Oh, right.
I'm just talking about let me talk.
But we just want our folks to understand that, you know, while some of these folks preach transparency and democracy and all the C's, here it is. They're on a live program, and a young woman wanted to make a point, and she was trying to get over something, and because she was talking about the installed regime, they decided to blank her. They don't want to hear what she's saying, you know. Critic doesn't want to hear what she's saying. But these are the people who sometimes talk about all the C's. And this is only saying to us that we are in a sad state. We are in a sad state when we see these things are happening. But by the time we wait for our guests to come, you know, I need to tell you a few things. We've recognized that lots and lots of monies are being spent in this country. Lots of monies are being spent. They're being squandered, as a matter of fact. But you know what? The poor doesn't benefit from the monies that are being spent. Poor people, there is no consideration here for poor people. Poor people aren't benefiting from these monies. The monies that are being spent, they are being spent on all kinds of crazy things that you can think about. What is happening to we have a young lady just on the quarantine there, I think it is, a mother who's crying out for help. We just passed a budget of $781 billion. The young lady can't benefit. She's not benefiting from that. Outside of benefiting, we've recognized that lots and lots of things are done in secrecy. And, you know, these are the very people who want to talk about the coalition when the coalition was in government, that things are being done secretly. But let me remind you, do you remember the contract, the ExxonMobil contract that was signed during the Ramatar period? That contract was signed in secrecy, and the Jagdeo and Ramatar refused to publish that, to release that contract. You remember that? That contract was signed in secrecy, and these are the people who want to relegate other persons. We had the Skeldon sugar factory. Up to now, we can't know how much monies were borrowed. And you know what? 30 years from now, we are still going to be paying for that debt. And that Skeldon Sugar Factory is a white elephant. Never worked one day. Monies were spent uselessly. You know, those monies could have been used to refurbish schools, to pay teachers, to pay public servants, to improve our hospitals. The Amila Falls, another one. Squandering of monies. But we have to repay those at the end of the day. And all these big guys collect their fat cat salaries, collect fat cat monies, and what is happening? What is happening? You know, it is disgusting the way we see these people operate. Very, very disgusting. And you know what, folks? We have got to be able to hold these folks accountable. We got to be able to hold them accountable because our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren will have to repay these debts. We saw just in the National Assembly 2 weeks ago where loads and loads of monies were pumped again in billions of dollars being pumped into Gaisuko. Billions of dollars being pumped into Gaisuko, even though we all know that Gaisuko, the sugar industry, is not making any profit. We're still pumping money there, whereas we could have been using those monies, divest the sugar industry. But you know what? You got to belong to the 3 Fs. You got to be connected by the way of 3 Fs so that you can benefit. And here is it, we're not saying that our folks in the sugar industry, they're not important. All we're saying is that we should be divesting. We're not making monies. So let's move aside from that and reintegrate these folks into other sectors so that they can function. But the PDP government, believe in pumping money into foolishness, pumping money into areas where we are not going to get the kinds of returns. Why can't we move away from that? We can do sugar on a small scale, but reintegrate these persons, teach them new skills so that they can function in other areas just the same way they're functioning in the sugar estates. But we believe in doing that. We have seen again, we talk about agriculture and widening agriculture. And again, you have to belong to the 3 Fs to be able to benefit from that. We were talking about the contracts, but I want my guests to expound on that. But again, we're seeing on the quarantine again, loads and loads of contracts being doled out to friends and families and favorites. Road contracts, and the roads are not being properly done. And you know what is happening there? Somebody gets a contract to do a road who was just a fly-by-night contractor. Doesn't know anything really about the roads, about building roads, but you get a contract because you're connected. And what happens? You do road work, and a month or 2 months after, 3 months after, the roads start to break away. Somebody else has got to come now to do the work again. Yes, you know, this whole craziness about not having proper standards. And I'm trying to figure out who is checking, who is doing follow-up work so that they know when they see these road projects are being done, they know what to check for. They know the thickness of the road. They know what is supposed to be laid out first. How much crushing is crush and run is supposed to be thrown out there. How many times did the roller has to roll on that to settle that stuff there before you put the bitumen? I mean, these monies are taxpayers' monies, and we have to make these people accountable. You can't build a road today and 5 weeks from now, that road, you have to go and resurface that road. You have to go and build the road. And if you look at the shoulders of the road, how they're doing these roads, no proper shoulders. So by the time somebody roll down on the corner there, the road shoulders break away. We have to be accountable for what is happening. As we go on, we have seen, and we continue to see the biasness of the Speaker of the National Assembly. Here again, you have to be connected so that you can do a couple of things. We have seen loads and loads of motions being filed by opposition members of parliament. And you know what? Many times the Speaker, the Honorable Speaker, would decide that these motions that are coming to the House, they are not urgent. They are not urgent. We raise the issue of success, that is not urgent. We raise the issue of COVID, that is not. All kinds of motions are being tabled in the House. Here is it. And all of these motions, the Speaker of the House, again, who's connected, decides whether these motions are urgent, whether they're of interest. You throw questions out there, the Speaker decides which question he is going to allow to pass. I mean, what are we doing? Is this the transparency we talk about? Is this the accountability we talk about? When you ask for explanation for how monies are going to be spent, you get vague answers. Is that what we want in this country? You know, you can't criticize persons for not doing, and you are doing exactly the same thing. Folks, viewers, I want to say to you, we are at a critical juncture in our country. And if we don't decide to hold this government accountable, then we are all going to suffer. All of us are going to suffer if we don't hold them accountable. Every day, corrupt acts are being done. Every day we have corruption, every single day. When we don't have it in one area, they have it in another area. Every 2 days, we're finding marijuana in car, bulk marijuana packed in car trunks. Every 2 days, you're having a raid here and a raid there. And what is happening? You don't hear anything much. You just hear about this big drug bust, and then you don't hear anything else about it. Why aren't we holding persons accountable? And you know what? When we have some of these drug busts, the small fish is the one who is being prosecuted. Again, once you're not connected, then you face the blunt of it. We have to continue to hold these people accountable for what is happening. In every single area, every single ministry, we have to hold these people accountable. So many things are happening. We are seeing a break here, a break there. Well, don't talk about housing and water. We really have to get Dr. What's his name to return there, Richard Van West Charles. We have started experiencing again discolored water, smelly water, and all of these monies we're pumping into these sectors. You know, check the budget again. You're going to see how much monies were allotted to each of these ministries, and yet we can't get proper water. Yet we can't get proper water. Don't talk about GPL. Yesterday, we had several wards in Georgetown and even out of Georgetown where there were power outages on more than one occasion. Where are we going? We can't continue to talk about Guyana being one of the fastest growing economy in the world and Guyana being the next Dubai of the Caribbean, or the Dubai of the Caribbean. And we're having all of these crazy things happening. We saw just the other day, maternal deaths have returned. When it's not the mother and her baby, it's either the mother or it's the baby dying. What is happening? And all you can hear about, investigations are ongoing. Investigations are ongoing. What is really going on? We have to be able to do things that are proper. We have to be able to do things that are right. We must spend monies on training, improving the skill set of our workforce. We cannot continue to talk about, oh, we have so much money, the biggest budget, and then you don't see the fruits from the biggest budget. Last year, we had another big budget. What did we see? School children are still going to school hungry. And education is taking a large chunk from the budget. But we still see school children, we still hear about school children going to school hungry. We still see, I'm hoping that this time around, we're going to see a difference with the hot meal and the breakfast program that we're having. But, I was hoping that this time around, we would hear the Minister of Education saying to this nation, rather than doing just grade 6, we have moved and we are going to include grade 5 and grade 4, or maybe a grade 1 and grade 2, along with the grade 6. We cannot talk about all these billions that we are pumping into the education sector when we can only offer meals at grade 6. And in smaller schools, in schools where the numbers are small, and these are multi-grade schools where you have a population of just about maybe 50 or 100 or something like that, you give everybody the breakfast or the hot meal. I'm hoping too that this time around, we're going to have, coming out of those hot meal or the breakfast that you're offering, they're going to be nutritious. I hope we have spoken with the persons at Carnegie and other nutritionists so that we can get proper menus and not Kool-Aid and a sandwich wrapped in a little piece of plastic there. I'm hoping that the children are going to be given nutritious meals. I'm hoping that we are going to look very, very careful at persons who are being appointed. Again, we've seen the return of incompetence in every single ministry, where you have the professionals who are being pushed aside. And once you're connected by way of the 3 Fs, you're giving a position without being asked lease or license. You're given senior positions, positions that are supposed to be advertised, and you have applicants applying for those positions. Persons are just bestowed, this kind positions are just bestowed on persons. These things have got to stop. If we really want to move this country forward, we have to be inclusive in what we do. We have to include, we have to ensure that we have our professionals. We have to ensure that what we are doing, we have a strategic plan and we have a clear vision of where we want to go. Not every now and again, somebody wake up and they dreamt something last night and they jump up tonight and they decide that this is going to work. We've got to stop putting monies into the hands of our friends, our families, and our favorites, and put the monies into the hands of people who can do the job and get them done properly. That's what we have to do. Over and over and over, we have seen this craziness. We have also seen huge sums of monies going to the Ministry of Home Affairs. And I'm hoping that we are going to spend more monies to train our policemen and our policewomen. Put monies for training. Put lots of monies for training. Yes, you're going to need equipment. Buy proper equipment. But could you imagine something? I just noticed the other day that the Ghana Defense Force, they can't buy a helicopter. But a security company could afford to buy that. A security company could afford to buy it. Where are we? Are we really serious about moving this country forward? Are we really serious about doing things and making the lives of our citizens comfortable, improving the lives of our citizens? Big, big buildings we're putting up. Every 2 days you pass somewhere, you see big buildings. Oh, the hotel industry, and this industry and that industry and the other industry, all kinds of hotel industry be going on and we're going on. But you know what? What is happening to our people? What is happening to our people? Have you ever taken a drive down Regent Street at about 8:30 in the night, 9 o'clock? Go there for those who live in Georgetown. You're going to see how many homeless people we have there. And we're talking about an oil country, And we got all these people sleeping on the pave. All these people sleeping on the pave. And we're putting up hotels here, there, and everywhere. You noticed? And when it's not hotels, we're putting up hospitals. You jump 3 corners, a hospital there. Another 3 corners, a hospital there. And one of the things we have to take note of is where those hospitals are going to be, where the location of those hospitals. We have to think long term. While we're going to implement short-term projects and medium-term projects, we have to think long-term. We cannot continue to be so small and nearsighted. We have to think long-term. And you know what? I've been saying to folks, quite a lot, when the time that the coalition spent in government, if we check the amount of things that the coalition did while they were in government as against what the PPP would have done in 23 years, it can't match up, they can't match up. But you know what? The PPP, they're all about drama, photo op. So every little thing they do, they have to broadcast that. It is your obligation as a government to do for the citizens of this country. So when you do things around here, it's not a favor you're doing for people. It's your obligation as a government to ensure that we have proper schools, to ensure that we have running water, proper water, clean water, to ensure that we have proper hospitals. Just the other day, I heard a young man complaining in Berbice in Region 6 about drugs, going to the hospital and they don't have the drugs. And we have a Minister of Health who would jump up there and talk about, and we're providing this and we're providing that and we have this. And our hospitals are well equipped with what? With what? And when you have to say these things, they tell you, you're criticizing and you're criticizing, as if you're not supposed to talk about the wastage of taxpayers' monies and our hospitals not having drugs, simple drugs, simple drugs. What are we really doing? We don't have to contend with in this country with earthquakes and hurricanes and all kinds of storms. We don't have to contend with those. And so we should ensure that our people are well taken care of. We got the ministers who are driving around all over the place, who don't have apartment buildings. They're putting up hotels. Who not putting up hotels? They're doing all sorts of things you see them doing, while the poor and ordinary Guyanese citizens are suffering. We got all kind of apartment buildings in Cummins Lodge. We got on Middle Street. We got on the quarantine there. We got all over the place. They're putting up apartment buildings. And who ain't got apartment buildings? They're putting it in their family name. Who ain't putting in their family name? They got some company in another name. And so that's where the monies are going. And so again, you have to be connected by way of the 3 Fs so that you can benefit. This country belongs to all of us. This country belongs to all of us. Imagine we passed a budget, and in that budget, there is no consideration in that budget for the Critchlow Labour College. And the Critchlow Labour College is an institution that would have given a second chance to even some of the PPP ministers. And there is no consideration there in that budget for the Critchlow Labour College. No consideration there for the subvention to be restored to the Critchlow Labour College. And we talk about inclusion. And you hear transparency, and because we care about whom? Those who are connected by way of the 3Fs. And this is what we have going on all the time, over and over. Every time the PPP come around, this is what we have. You discriminate, you send home, you get involved in corrupt practices. And you know, I'm happy that the World Bank would have said to that we got this coming from the World Bank, those who have been blacklisted. I'm happy that they've published that. I'm happy that we got the report talking about poverty, increase in poverty in this country. I'm happy that we got that. And so they can't doubt it, because every time you have to speak from the point of view of the opposition, oh, you're talking about this, oh, you're condemning that. But we have to talk about it, because it can't be one Guyana when only a certain sector or a certain group of people are benefiting. It cannot be one Guyana. What we are seeing here is a Guyana for an elite group, and a Guyana for the supporters, and not a Guyana for everyone. If we're going to talk about one Guyana, then you cannot talk about giving people title at squatting areas in Region 3, when the people at Mocha, you could have given those at Caneview titles to the lands that they've occupied for over 30 years. You cannot talk about a one Guyana when you would have taken away the livelihood from those families who lived on Caneview in Mocha. You went to success, you destroyed the people's homes, you flooded the lands, and you're talking about we care. And so again, this is another budget that talks about, oh, improving the lives of people. Where, when, and how. Improving the lives of people when you cannot say anywhere in that budget what is the salary increase that you're going to be giving to public servants. How do we talk about improving the lives of people? Which people you're improving the lives of? Those your fat cat friends. We cannot talk about improving the lives of our people when only certain sectors of workers can get salary increases, can get top up on their salary increases. What has happened to the teachers? What has happened to the other grouping of public servants? What has happened to them? They're not important? And then you're ready to talk about, oh, they're going to get it at some point when? Every day while you're delaying and delaying and delaying, the prices in the market skyrocketing. The prices in the supermarkets skyrocketing. You have to pay transportation every day. How do you expect the small man to live when you don't want to make him a real man? You know, the PPP government, every time you think of them, all sorts of things come to mind. Because here it is, again, let me refer to this medical person, this doctor who had to go in front of the State House today to lay her case out. A professional woman, you know, a medical doctor. And you talk about we care. You talk about, oh, we are going to be doing this. You're going to see the transformation. Transformation of what? Transformation of what? The malls you're putting up everywhere? The malls you're going to cut ribbons to open? When we talk about tourism in this country, and our people can't visit, the ordinary man can't go to visit Kiteshore Falls. The ordinary man can't go to visit somewhere else in the interior. To Lethem can't go to Lethem. The people who live in Lethem, it's not easy for them to come to Georgetown because they can't afford it. I know of teachers and other public servants who live in other regions who have never been to Georgetown. Now that we are evolving and we're part of the fastest growing economy, huh? Well, I don't want to talk about the no child leave behind policy yet. I want to talk about that because we understand, you know, what is happening there. We understand when you have a minister of education who doesn't know that in the nursery school you call the children their learners, in the primary school you call them pupils, and in the secondary school you call them students. When the minister of education doesn't know that, then you can understand why the system is failing. You can understand that, you know. And so these are the issues that we've got to talk about over and over and over and over and over. And we are allowing the PPP to do what they want to do because we are not demanding from them. Folks, we've got, when we see things are happening in our community, we have to go out there and question the contractors. Whether they're building roads or they're doing drains or they're cleaning parapets, we've got to go out there and question them. We must know what is happening in our areas. But you see, if we sit idly by and we just allow these things to happen, then the rich will continue to get richer, the poor will continue to get poorer, and the gap will continue to widen. We are Guyanese. We belong here. Could you imagine? We who are bona fide Guyanese, we can't afford to buy a house lot. But we got foreigners coming and they're given privileges and priority. You know that? And we're talking about one Guyana. We're hearing just the other day that we're going to be bringing people in from some country. They're bringing them here to work. When we got plenty of our own people who can't find jobs. But you're bringing foreigners to work to get and give them jobs in our country. This is what the PPP are about. You know, they like to know that you are bowing to them. They like to know that you are bowing to them. So what they do every time, they go out there and they carry hampers to you so that the people can run and come, and they give you a hamper with a bottle, 2 pints of oil, and some sack of rice, and some sack of sugar, and a packet of milk, and some sets of potato or something, and some chow mein. Yes, that's how they operate. They always feel that they are superior to everybody and you must bow to them every occasion. But we have got to stop this. We are the people who have the power in our hands to change everything. We have the power in our hands to change everything. We don't have to be connected by way of any 3 Fs to get what we want. We must demand what we want. And so I want to say to us, there are going to be many road contracts. Look for them. Look for them. Yes, the PPP, they are wicked. They're nasty. They're barefaced. And we can't stop saying it because this is what we see. You notice, as soon as the PPP would have been returned to office, we start having execution-style killing again. I don't know where those drugs were, where they were being stored, but we're seeing all these drug busts. We right here don't know who packed containers, where the containers come from, who were the senders. But people overseas can tell us everything that happened. Who's the consignee, who this, who that. These are the kinds of corruption that the PPP is involved in. But let me tell you something. You notice I'm on my program and I can talk about corruption and I can talk about incompetence and I can talk about scams. Yes, I can talk about who's wicked. But you know what? In Parliament, we were told just the other day, according to the Speaker's discretion, according to the Speaker, there are certain words that are forbidden. You can't use certain words in Parliament like corruption. No, you can't use corruption in Parliament. You can't talk about incompetence in Parliament. You can't talk about stealing in Parliament because those are not parliamentary language. They're not parliamentary language, so you can't use those words in Parliament. And this is this is where it is stifling of the people, stifling of the people. They don't want to see our people grow up. Yes, we got lumber in Karila. We got lumber in Kasrip. We got lumber in I think it was a walrus seed. We saw cocaine going out in, and nobody don't know his own. You know, but the thing is, again, we don't have to be connected by way of the 3 Fs. We are Guyanese and we're entitled to everything. All the money is here, to every mineral that we have here. Everything that we have here, we're entitled to it. And as a Guyanese, I should be able to get on a bus, take my family to let them for a weekend. I should be able to go to Ogle or call and find and say, well, look, I'm booking a flight to go to Kaishore because it's my son's birthday, so I'm taking. But the ordinary Guyanese can't afford that. You can't afford that. The salaries that you're being paid can barely offer you a living. And so that's why we have our workers here, our public servants living from paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. You can't see what you're doing with it. You can't even put aside a little bit for saving. Or the little bit that you put aside for saving, by the time you turn, so something else gone up, the price for something else gone up, and you have to use the little bit that you're putting up there. They think it's getting very disgusting. Very disgusting. Yes, you can't use the word corruption, but the word dildo could have been used. You know, Charles Ramson talk about, he was reading some quote and he talked about it. It had something about and fools, and the speaker did not object to it. But when an opposition MP read a quote, I think it was MP Sherrod Duncan, when he read a quote and he was quoting what somebody said, he was stopped by the speaker. And yes, this is the one Guyana that we're talking about. This is the one Guyana that we talk about, and this is the because we care and because we understand. But we don't have one Guyana. This whole one Guyana concept is a fake thing. As a matter of fact, when they copied that, they really did not understand what they were doing. And I figured, many of them are from the No Child Left Behind era. So this is what we have going on here. But I want to say to us, we got to stop allowing Alibaba and the 40 thieves to continue stealing our money. Oh, thieves that's a word that is prohibited in Parliament. Thieving? Oh gosh, if you say that again, the speaker, of course, he strikes it out from the record. But we have to put a stopping to this. Every time you look at what is happening, it's the small man who's suffering. Every time you turn around, the small man suffers. But the PPP and the cohorts, the 3Fs, once you're connected by way of that, you get the green light to do whatever. We see every day, we see poor people lining up at the Georgetown Hospital, Portmorant Hospital, New Amsterdam Hospital, West Dem Hospital. But the rich and the famous, they go on to Balwant Singh. They go on to Woodlands. They go on to Annie Myers Hospital in New Amsterdam. Very soon, we're going to have Sheriff Hospital there in Region 3, and they'll go there. But the poor and ordinary man got to go and line up at the public hospital. Got to go and line up at the public hospital because we don't have the monies to spend at the private hospitals. And when you go there, the amount of time you have to spend there. As a matter of fact, I saw a young lady complaining that her uncle went to the hospital the day before and he was finished. He went sometime at around 9 o'clock in the morning until after 10:30 the night is when he was attended to. I mean, what are we doing in this country? Is this the way to operate in an oil economy? Is this the way we operate in a country where we have the fastest growing economy? The rich getting richer. I keep saying this all the time. The rich are continuing to get rich and the poor people are continuing to remain poor. And we have the gap widening. We don't want to talk about education tonight. We'll talk about education on another night. But when we look at what is happening in the education sector, all the fights in schools, outside of schools, teachers are being abused by parents. Teachers are being abused by students. As a matter of fact, there are some parents who have the right to abuse teachers. Minister, her officials, all of them, they get dumb, they get deaf, they get blind when those things happen. But for certain parents, quick time you're seeing statements being made condemning parents' actions. But for some parents, and so this One Guyana thing, again, it's a fake. We don't have any One Guyana policy. No One Guyana. And so, folks, we have got to be able to read the right act to these people. When they come to your communities with a couple of bags of with some oil and whatever else they got in it, let them know that you're doctors. Let them know that you don't want them to come here and offer you promises. Let them know that things are there to be fixed in your community and you want to see them fixed. If they want to come to your community, then they must come with the intention of fixing the issues that you have. And don't tell us next week and tomorrow and sometime else. It's a shame that we got a country where we just passed a $781 billion budget. And yet, people can't live in comfort. Yet, people, you can't drive the roads in comfort in some areas. And we hear the big talks about how much stretch of road they have done in 2 years. But it's not how much stretch of road you have done, is whether you do proper roads. Because many of the roads that you have done within the 2 year span, you had to go and redo them. So that's what you need to tell the people. The span of roads that you're talking about is the double dipping that you had to be doing, the double resurfacing of these roads. It's crazy when we hear the talks about this One Guyana. And then you want to turn and bribe people with them little hampers that you're coming with, and to show, oh, because we care. Oh, we're concerned about you. Crime is on the increase. Every day, somebody getting robbed. Every day. I'm not sure what the Minister of Home Affairs is really doing. Excuse me. The Minister of Home Affairs and his team. You got to do more for the people. People must be protected. People must feel safe when they walk the streets. People must feel safe when they stop at the traffic lights. People must feel safe when they put on a ring or a chain on their neck, a ring on their finger and a chain on their neck. People must feel safe to wear what they use their monies to buy. Whether they bought it for a birthday or an anniversary or something. People must feel safe in this country. And I don't want to hear about, oh, we got robberies. They're having robberies in the US and they got robberies in other places. I don't care what's happening in other places. We must fix it here because we have the resources. Huh? We have the resources, so we must fix it. Every 2 minutes you check. Once the PPP are in government, you know what we get? Again, burning of buildings. And so we've turned our attention now to the school. So every 2 minutes you're burning a school. 4 schools have been burned so far. We're waiting to see the North Rumvelt Secondary School. We're waiting to see that go up again. We are waiting to see the rebels at Christchurch. And you know, when we talk about it, it's hurting when you have to talk about these schools that are being burnt. When these schools are burnt, lots and lots of persons are displaced. Students are displaced. The vendors who were selling there, operating the canteen, they're displaced. The auxiliary staff, they're displaced. Now you got to move the people who were operating at Christchurch on Middle Street. You move them from there and you're taking them till to Turkine. I hope that they got systems in place. I hope that you're having systems in place, because some of our parents now have to find 4 transportation fares to get their children to Turkine. And I know lots and lots of parents have transferred have taken transfer for their children. Lots and lots of parents, because they cannot afford to send their children till there. They can't afford to send their children till there. And you know, every time you have to talk about these issues, people get upset. Their supporters get upset. Well, continue to watch my program and you will get upset every time. Christchurch, that school was declared safe after they had a fire the 1 week before. It was declared safe. 1 week after, school in flames, burnt. And you know what is amazing? That we have all of those CCTV cameras around, and none of the cameras picked up the person who lit that fire. We hear is arson. I don't know why some ordinary poor man would want to light that school afire. The cameras didn't pick up nobody. Maybe the persons who have their cameras around there, they weren't angled in that direction. Or maybe they turned their cameras off, you know, like what we had on Main Street there when Paper Shorts was killed. The cameras weren't working. Maybe some of the persons, the business people who we have around there, their cameras are not working. Look, we are demanding better. The Minister of Home Affairs should be telling us something different. We're tired of hearing arson and arson and arson. How are you finding these people? Huh? But you know why we are going to have these things happening? It's because the ministries, this friend and this family got a security service and they hook up because you're connected by way of the 3 Fs. They hook up. So you have a security service. They're collecting big sums of monies, but you know what they're doing? They're employing persons who could hardly walk in some instances. Persons, some of them could hardly hear. They could hardly see. Excuse me. And these are the persons who are being employed. In other instances, especially at nights, you have one guard manning an entire compound. Now you tell me, when this one guard moved from the front of the school to go take a walk around to the side, who man in the front? Who's seeing what happening in front? When the guard return to the front, who's seeing what happening in the back? And so the education ministry, they must fix it. If the security services can't give you service for money, then don't take them, don't renew their contracts. But we're not doing these things because we connected. So we're not doing it. If you want to find out who lightened fires in the schools, put proper security system in place. And I think the time has come now for us to have cameras in and around our schools. We should be doing that now. All the monies that we get in from that has been allotted to education from the budget, we should be thinking about doing these things in our schools. We cannot continue to afford these kinds of lawlessness, but the PPP, they adorn in lawlessness. They like these rockers. They like corruption. They like to employ their friends and their families. So when you have to talk this story straight, they don't want you around. And so, folks, I want to say to us tonight, we've got to change the status quo of things. We have to ensure that when monies are spent, we get worth for the monies being spent. Next week, we are going to talk about those contractors who have been blacklisted, because our guest this evening, he was engaged otherwise, so he couldn't be here. But we're going to talk about those contractors who have been blacklisted by IDB, but yet we are seeing the government employing them. We got some in Region 9, we got some in Region 10, I think it is. But we're going to name them. We're going to publish that. And of course, that report is not, it's not anything hide and seek. Of course, you know, the IDB, they're not like the PPP government who like to do things in secrecy. Everything about them is secrecy. And while I'm wrapping up, I want to say this to us. It is a shame that we are bringing to this country, I must talk about this one. We brought to this country Letitia Wright, our Panther, Black Panther star, Guyana big on the map. And you know what? There was no slot allotted during her visit to meet with the leader of the opposition and the opposition members, except for when they had to, a little time was squeezed out for her to meet them in Parliament. There was no time allotted. She was allotted time to meet with the mayor, and that took a whole long time. And we're talking about one Guyana, you know. We're talking about one Guyana. She was supposed to meet with another grouping of people. I think it's, she was supposed to meet with Ipadaji, and she couldn't turn up because they kept her. We have to do things right. People must hear what is happening. If you don't have anything to hide, then you wouldn't want to keep people away from you. But I'm still waiting to hear whether, because I was hoping that she would have gotten a national award. But I didn't see that happen. I'm hoping that at some point we're going to hear she was presented with a national award, because I noticed all kind of people getting national awards. But the real people not getting it. I'm hoping that I'm going to hear a street is being named after her. And if we want to showcase our people, these are some of the things that we have to do. We cannot talk one Guyana when we are selective with who we want to showcase and who we want to big up, and who that we saw there with and all the photo up, you know. But you know what I want us to understand? That Dr. Letitia Wright, she's a very smart young lady. She's intelligent. She's very smart. And so when you think that you can hide things from her, don't forget, you know, she born here. She got family here. And so they're telling her the things that are happening. So don't feel that you're going to carry her to all these big fancy places and so on and get her to meet the people with the white shirt and black ties and suits and jacket and long dresses and so. And she doesn't know what's happening here. Huh? The people know exactly what's happening. And so, folks, we had a good gaffe tonight. We'll continue on this. But let me say to us, we are Guyanese. And you see that big budget that we just passed there, that was just passed? We will police it. And we will tell you when the monies are not being spent, where they were allotted to spend, where they were allocated to be spent. We will tell you, and you will help us to check on it, because those monies are our monies. That's all for now on Advancing the Cause for tonight. And I want to say to you, it was good being here with you. Do enjoy the rest of the evening. Be safe. For my folks here and everywhere else, I should say, COVID is still alive and well, and we need to be careful. So mask up when you have to go into huge crowds, when you have to go to supermarkets, when you have to visit the hospitals and so on. Put on your mask. You stay safe and encourage others to stay safe. And let's continue to clamor for pure water, good running water all the time. Let's continue to clamor for proper housing. You see all these fancy houses that they're talking about building, 500 homes and all these homes. We've got to go and check on those homes, you know, because I can tell you, there are contractors who are building homes on the East Bank. And just last week, one of the homes, the entire roof caved in. And you know why that caved in? Because of substandard work. So we're going to check on those. Take care, and I'll see you again next Wednesday for more on Advancing the Cause. God bless.
I'm such a fool.